welcome back to Smashing Heads Podcast. This is episode 42. My name is Zach, and as always, I'm joined by my wife, Hannah.
Hey.
My best friend, Jake.
How's everybody doing tonight?
You're not in your microphone at all.
You your mic on.
Hold on, let me try that again.
No, you get one shot and that's it.
Good Lord.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Great. That's a great way to start. So we started... I started hitting record, and I immediately had to cough, and I was like, oh no. So I backed away from the mic and coughed in my shirt. And then Jake just decided not to talk in his microphone.
Well, we were real into this IG Live, and now,
yeah, we had fun on there tonight.
And now everybody's been talking about LASIK eye surgery, which, how's everybody doing tonight?
That's a great segue. Yeah. Okay, I don't even know how to transition out of that.
I don't know. We were just talking about surgery, and it kind of... Surgery of any way, shape, form just makes me nervous. I don't enjoy needles. I don't enjoy being cut by things or poked by things. All of it I don't enjoy. It's just scary to me. And so I've got a couple people that are trying to say, LASIK surgery is a 3-minute process. It's kind of scary.
Way
but
quicker than I expected. Definitely
worth it. But I don't know if I can handle it.
What?
What? You about to say something?
I was laughing. I'm laughing at the IG Live in here. We've got some real live individuals.
Some characters. Yeah, again, including some of our friends that don't actually watch the show. They're just here to hang out.
But it's good to have people like that even if they couldn't care any less about what we talk about, they're still here for it. So shout out to those.
Yeah, and also, a quick segue, shout out to our Patreon subscribers, our patrons, if you will, because this week, actually, how many days ago was that? 2-3 days ago? It was Saturday, wasn't it?
What do we? Our first?
Yeah, we launched our first.
Yeah, we recorded it Friday night, dropped Sunday night.
It was Sunday night. So we launched our first Patreon exclusive podcast. We're calling that Redemption House.
It's a verb.
'D. It's going to be like tangentially related to the challenge. Like we took challenge related questions from our patrons, but we kind of just get a little bit more in depth about things that are going on in our lives. That we wouldn't normally talk about on this show because that's what our patrons told us they wanted. And so we're going to, make the show what they want.
And we're going to give you a lot of other stuff, too.
Yeah, it's just a big mashup of things. But we did specifically do challenge-related questions and stuff, too. So it's not exclusive. We called it Redemption House because it's like, hey, are these weird things we'd be talking about if we were separated from the show?
We got really in-depth into my dating life.
This episode, yes.
Like... a lot. Unintentionally, because as we were talking about it, we all kind of forgot how much there was to this story. That it was like a saga. There was like all these different things that happened that even I had forgot about.
Yeah, it's been happening for months, especially with this one girl. And so
what's going to happen is, on the next Redemption House, I have asked you guys for 5 minutes just to put a bow on it, because I need to explain why I went about it the way I did, and also that I hold no ill will towards this girl. None of that. Look, life happens. It is what it is. Also, I'm an adult, and so it's cool. Everything's fine. Am I making sense?
Well, except that you don't have a date to see Avengers Endgame with us next week.
But you do have a ticket.
I do have a ticket.
Yeah.
For someone.
Because we talked about this 2 weeks ago, right? That I was gonna I'm not gonna be a third wheel. I'm not. Not this time. Not to Avengers Endgame. The Endgame is that I am going to see this movie with a cute girl.
Or your roommate Seth.
And I'm not.
Well, every day that passes, it looks more and more like it's going to be Seth.
Anything can change over the next few days. But who knows?
Running out of time.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we got a week from tomorrow, because we're going on Thursday, which is opening night. And I mean, if not, you're not going to be just the third wheel. You're going to be the third and fourth wheel.
Yes, because there will be an empty seat and somebody is going to be mad that they tried to get that ticket and you bought it for no one to sit there and watch the movie.
Well, here's the thing. I'd rather have the empty seat than some random guy, that maybe has a scent to him.
I didn't say invite a stranger.
No, but I'm saying, like,
why did you say scent?
If we wouldn't have got that ticket, that sicket, then we don't know who's going to sit there.
That's true.
We have no idea, and so just let this whole situation take its course, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we don't know what kind of course it's going to take, though.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
And by the way, I will have Shelby come with us before I have roommate Seth come.
We'll
that
see.
is not very nice.
Well,
because Seth loves to do things with us.
That's not true. He doesn't like to do anything.
Yeah, but he's a really big Avengers fan too, and I know that he wants to see it.
Yeah, I don't care. So anyway, if you want to hear more about our stories, patreon.com/smashingheadspodcast. Again, we got a few tiers on there. They all have different rewards, things like that. But we will be doing, again, we promised at least 2 podcasts a month. It's actually going to probably ramp up from there that are going to be only on Patreon. So I just realized I'm using a Rocket Raccoon pen as we're talking about that.
Shout out to Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
It's going to be a heck of a lot longer than the others they've been saying.
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's wrapping up like 10 years.
Yeah, but I'm okay. Like, what if it's like 4 hours long? I hope they'll pause it at like the 2-hour mark and let everybody take a bathroom break, so that we don't have to miss anything.
Not that. I was laughing at Shelby.
I don't know what I was laughing at.
Jake's just laughing in general. But we have people with us on Instagram. We're about to kick them out of here so we can get into tonight's episode.
But as always, it's been super fun.
Yeah, again,
hanging out with them.
We like to go on Instagram at least like 10 or so minutes before we start recording. We've actually probably been on here a little bit longer than that, and then we kind of hang in here during the intro, and then we go from there. So, again, we appreciate you guys joining with us, and we will see you next week. But
oh man,
the podcast isn't going anywhere.
You always end it before I can tell them to have a good night.
That's fine. They'll figure it out.
It's not.
They'll figure out you wanted to say that. Let's get into tonight. The only things I had to plug really were the Patreon, obviously, our website, smashingheadspodcast.com, if you need to catch up on anything. Also, if you missed it, we are on Spotify and things like that. So you can go on our website and look at how to get to Spotify, or you can just search us on there and we'll show up.
I was just trying to find a better way to position my mic.
Yeah,
possibly.
Jake's trying to move his mic in the middle of all this. But beyond that, again, Frank Sweeney is still coming on the show very soon. Polly's coming on at some point. He's in Europe right now. Frank's in China right now.
He's having fun.
Yeah, he's on a trip in China and Hong Kong and stuff like that. And so, again, we'll have them on pretty soon. We may have some other ones in the works, but let's get into tonight.
Well, here was the big question going in.
Okay, I thought you were about to transition out of it.
I'm going into
Okay,
it.
there we go. That's what I want.
What was this big Burger King surprise? That was the big question.
We saw it.
That
was my first note though, because
That
it was
was
right
mine
before
too.
before they showed it. I said, "What was the Burger King price?"
What in God's name is this Burger King deal we've got going?
Well, I wonder if Burger King's like, hey, we'll give you $25,000. I don't know how much advertising costs on a network like MTV.
I have no idea.
But they're like, hey, we'll give you $100,000, but you have to talk about us in 2 separate episodes. And so they're like, I got a way to do that. And so they did a cliffhanger last week.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Han.
Well, I was
Break
just
it
going to
down.
say, I'm not that big of a fan of Burger King.
Oh,
I
no.
don't think it's that great. I can eat it every now and then, but every single time that I do, it's like there's a weird aftertaste, and it kind of freaks me out a little bit. And so it just made me feel weird that when Kyle, Davon, Maddie, and Nani were in the room with the football team feast of burgers, you get it?
No,
I don't.
At the White House.
Good Lord.
Okay.
That is
Anyway.
first of all, that was not Burger King. Second of all,
It was McDonald's
that is a
and Taco
stretch.
Bell.
No, it's
and
just McDonald's.
Wendy's.
It was just McDonald's.
It wasn't just
Yes,
McDonald's.
it
They
was.
had other
It was
stuff.
only McDonald's, and that was a stretch at best.
There's a bunch of cold Big Macs.
Yeah.
Regardless.
You wanted us to connect a lot of dots on that one.
I was thinking, how in the world are 4 people going to eat all of that food?
Well, they didn't. Like, even Wes said, hey, you brought me a Whopper.
Yeah, but still, like, every bite that they took, they were all freaking out. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love Burger King so much. This is the best day of my life.
So to be fair, on a lot of these challenges, they're just eating at the house a lot. And so it probably is a big welcome to have stuff like that. It's Americanized food. They're in Namibia. Again, we don't know what they're eating. And everything's weird when you're overseas. I get it.
guess.
I will say, though, you got to be careful with stuff like that, because when you're overseas for a while and then you eat something Americanized, it will tear your stomach. It
Yeah,
hurts so bad.
You get used to not having it.
Yeah. And so they've done this on, was it 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago, where they did a Burger King thing, because Tony got it.
It was a while ago.
Oh, they did it on Invasions. It was Invasions
Yeah.
of the Champions. But they, again, Burger King sponsored stuff like this before. But going back to, you said it's a lot of food. Well, if Burger King only did like a burger each or whatever, that's not very spectacular.
No, but you could have doubled up on the people you sent in there. There was enough food.
Yeah, there was so much food.
If you
so
do that,
many.
then that's 7
Did you
people.
see
That's,
how many containers of tater tots there were?
Not just
I didn't
that.
even know Burger King had tater tots.
they,
you
they do it in
see-
Namibia.
Did you see all the chicken nuggets, all the fries, all the original chicken sandwiches?
Oh my goodness!
I didn't see
the
one
thing-
burger.
I
did.
saw
Yeah.
so many,
They were eating burgers.
so many fries.
I guess they had to have been if Wes got a Whopper.
I will say, I like Burger King somewhat. I'll pick it over some other fast food places for sure. Their fries are not good.
I feel like at some point we need to rank the fast food restaurants.
We can do that.
I'm down for
I
that.
feel like we need to.
Yeah,
this
we
is not
can
the pod to
absolutely
do
do
no,
it.
it's not the pot for that.
I think Zachary and I will agree on a couple things.
Don't wink at me.
I didn't mean to.
You 100% looked at me and winked when you
I
said
didn't
that.
mean to.
Let me ask you this: do you consider Subway a fast food, like
Yes.
restaurants
Yes,
like that?
But I don't. Yeah, it would be pretty ranked down on mine.
You think so?
It's not very good quality. To
Can
me.
I tell you what I miss severely here in our city?
Quiznos?
I miss Quiznos.
She's never had it.
I've
So
never had
bad.
Quiznos in my life.
That mesquite chicken with bacon. You put me onto that.
Yeah.
Is one of the greatest sandwiches I've ever had. I've eaten at Firehouse. I've eaten at Subway.
Firehouse is good.
I've eaten at
I've never had Firehouse either.
Jersey Mike's.
Lenny's.
I don't like
Lenny's.
Jersey Mike's very much.
That mesquite
Steak
chicken.
Escape.
Steak Escape.
Who else got sandwiches? Jimmy John's.
Oh God! Don't even get me started on Jimmy John's, man. That is the most bland,
Overrated.
overrated. I can make any sandwich they have. I can make it at home in 60
Listen,
seconds.
Jimmy
This
John's.
is not the podcast
But
for that.
I need to get this out here. Jimmy John's is only as good as everybody says it is because they deliver.
It's still not good.
Well, now you've
But
got all
that's-
these
that's
apps
an
available now.
That's an advantage that these other places didn't have, like a year ago.
I don't know. I just agree. It's overrated to
What
me.
a sham!
I thought you were gonna say shame.
With an E. It's just sham with an E on the end.
What a shamey!
Yeah, that's how you
Gross,
say it.
no.
Yeah, so we'll get into food stuff some other time. But
Maybe on the Patreon pod if you.
yeah, the Redemption House.
Yeah, it's a verb.
But
How many times are you gonna say it's a
I
verb?
just have to be clear.
I know, but you say it all the time.
Clarity is king.
well, speaking
I
of
thought you were gonna say key.
speaking of king, I think Kyle said, or they said he was the king of the world in all this, and so they're tying it into Burger King.
Shout out to CM Punk, by the way. I think he deemed himself king of the world.
Didn't they do that
I
on
don't
like the?
remember that.
Also, greatest intro song ever. Cult
not
of Personality.
So yeah, the first part's just a Burger King promo. We all see it. But then
Wes is super excited to see Kyle. One, because he came back from elimination. Two, because he brought him a Whopper.
well, he took out Bear. I mean,
yeah.
that's a big like twist in this game. Like Bear was doing pretty well for a first season.
I know. And still stirring the pot and causing a lot of stuff, and still.
Which, by the way, I just saw something the other day. You know, we have how far is tattoo far?
Yes.
The British version, Bear's one of the hosts.
Hey.
Host.
Yeah, like, you know, they have Snooki and that other guy that Jake thought was... I don't even remember who you thought it was.
The kid from Air Bud.
Yeah, which is not at all.
It's not him.
It's not at all. But it's, Bear's one of the hosts of the British version. So I wonder what that's like.
Fun.
By the way, those tattoos are 100% real. I've seen people...
We did find out.
I've seen people speculating if they're fake or not. Not just Kara and Polly, but I've watched some stuff with like Inked Magazine on YouTube, and they interviewed some of the people that do them, and like they are legit.
Well,
and they talk about people trying to laser them off after.
Right. If I ever had any doubt that wasn't real, my doubt was washed away in tonight's episode, because about midway through, Kara is laying, kind of half laying on the bed next to Polly, because they're talking about some stuff, and she's wearing a cutoff shirt, and the tattoo that Polly gave her, the what is it, a crow or a raven? It was actually showing when she moved her arm.
Yeah, it's showing up sometimes.
We know that the tattoos are real. That was my clarification,
I thought
confirmation, whatever you want to call it.
I thought theirs were real all along. Some of the other more extreme ones, people are like, that's not real. But again, there's YouTube videos of the people that do them talking about them, and they're like, oh, she tried to laser it off, but I put it in there really deep, and it's not coming out.
That sucks.
It is what it is. They signed up for that show. I don't feel sorry for them.
Who do you feel sorry for?
I think they need better friends, for sure.
Who do I feel sorry for? People who really like Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
Can we just be like, our official podcast stance is that we don't like Jimmy John's?
We reverse stand Jimmy John's.
That's it.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
So yeah, we get into Wes after he's given the Whopper. He brings up something that basically Bear's gone now. His main targets are going to be Theo and Georgia. Makes sense. It's the British alliance, which is dwindling, by the way, at this point.
It's not much of one.
Because Kyle
is not
part of it,
though he is British.
True. And then we get into
analysis.
We get into Polly talking about
Wes.
He's talking about, I think, Kyle, because he said he's got this guardian angel that's keeping him around. And I was just kind of like, that's kind of ironic, because he's like, oh, he wouldn't be in this game. And I was like, well, the whole lot, thanks for yawning the mic. I appreciate that.
Wasn't there?
The whole last season, he was in the Redemption House not doing anything. And I was like, you had a free ride as much as anybody.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a red jumpsuit apparatus song called Guardian Angel?
I did not like that band, and I only knew the one song.
Was that the
Face
same
Down.
song? Oh, no.
That
was the song. I could...
We don't own the rights to it.
Well, we had someone in the Instagram Live earlier ask...
He would not want to hear that song.
What one song we could just sing off the top of our heads, like, right now.
I do have guitars back here.
That's probably one of those songs that I could just sing, because I just know it. Because it was so popular. Everybody knew that song.
Should we play People Out on your guitars tonight?
No.
Okay.
All of the guitars.
I was just trying to get creative over here.
I think
everybody,
only two of them have strings on them right now.
That intro can only last for so long. Am I right?
Yeah, I tried to look up who the guy is that made that, because it's royalty free, and it's some Russian guy, and I don't know how to say his name. So
shout out to him.
Yeah. But
what do you think about Polly's stance?
That's what I was about to get into. Go for it.
Screw me over once, you're dead to me. Normally it's 2 or 3 strikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get one.
Or at least 2 strikes.
You get one.
At least 2 strikes.
So what I would tell you, both of you actually, because you are the resident Polly haters here. Am I correct?
I am on record that he might be my least favorite competitor, but I think that might have changed a little bit, and it's not going to be in a direction he would want to hear.
Okay, well, here's the thing. It may be best, considering he's coming on the pod at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
It may be best to keep that in the back of your head, because you screw up one time, you're not even on this planet anymore.
So if I live by that same motto, then he's already out of my life.
Is he?
Yeah.
What'd he do to you?
He's done a lot of, not thinking personally to me. But
Well, Wes never did anything personally to Polly.
again, his logic's not great. I mean, I'm not going to argue that.
You know what? You try to live in that challenge house and see how you are able to function mentally.
Well, the
Let's
weird,
stick you out in that shed back here for about a month.
so let's
It's not a shed, it's a workshop.
let's kind of get into that because Polly is like talking with Kara, and who else is in that room in that bunk bed scene? Ninja, that's what it was.
And I think Davon was in there as well.
Okay, and they're talking, and then they're talking about Wes. And so Wes comes in.
He just walks in.
Yeah, and he's like, you guys are talking about me, whatever. He just kind of gets in the middle of it, and then Polly's like, you're so insecure and whatever. And I mean, like, I don't understand why he did that, because out of everyone in the house, I think Wes probably is one of the most secure people, because he's won these, and he's taken the time off, and he's built things outside of the show, so he's not dependent on the show for
and
whatever.
He's married. He's got a real pretty lady at home that's devoted to him. He's got a really great dog at home that's devoted to him.
Named Bootstraps.
And don't forget about beta blocks.
And he's got monster trucks.
Oh yeah, and again, it was a weird strategy. I think maybe you could call most of the other guys in the house that if you wanted, but Wes is a weird choice to call that out on. So then he just reverses it right back on him, and they get into it for a little while, and Wes just leaves the conversation with irrational, insecure, period, and then just walks out. And I don't think he's wrong, because Polly says, I'm the most secure person in here. But
if you have to preface that, it's probably not true.
I feel like Polly knows he's a good competitor, but I feel like he overcompensates for things. Because like he's very vocal about certain things, which typically the people who speak out the most about how confident they are, how great their relationships are, that type of thing, are the ones who are not. They're trying to actively hide something.
Do you think that he does it subconsciously, or do you think that he does it purposefully in an attempt to convince himself that he is confident and secure?
Well, again, he probably listens to this. Who
cares?
I personally think.
I mean, like, that's not, if whether or not he listens, that's not going to change my questions or my opinions or my thoughts on this.
No, but I mean, I'm going to be respectful of things. I personally think, again, it's my opinion on the situation, but I think he says it so then when he hears it, he like reassures himself of it. And it's like, if I say it, then it'll be real.
Okay, well, this is not a jab at him. If anything, Jake, you'll enjoy hearing this. I do the same thing. Because...
She talks about her big penis all the time.
I do. God. I do all the time. No, I am by far, the youngest person in my professional career. And it is very people-oriented, that kind of business. It's who you know, word of mouth, stuff like that. And I don't really look my age either. I look even younger than I am a lot of times. And there are times where that makes me feel like I won't be taken seriously by people, and that it will be harder for me to get clients or build clientele or just build my reputation here. And so there are times where I have to sit and tell myself, I am good at this. I am pretty darn good at this. And surprisingly,
That's not the same as what he's doing.
I'm doing exceptionally well at the milestone that I'm at now. I'm doing exceptionally well compared to others when they were in this same position, in this same stage in this career. But I get discouraged or I get intimidated because of my age and because of what I think people are going to think of me. And so I do have to convince myself and verbally tell myself that I am good at this and I am a professional and I know what I'm doing. So, Jake, you're welcome.
First off, I think that's really mature of you, Han, to, what are you laughing at?
I was First of all, I was not laughing. You started laughing, and you looked at me and said, "What are you laughing at?" And I was not at anything until.
I think. Look, let's be clear. Paulie has given people a lot of reason to hate on him.
Yes.
Intentionally or unintentionally, probably a little bit of both.
Mostly intentionally.
Mostly intentionally.
Yeah, for sure.
But, as I have stated on here,
I do think he thrives off of it, by the way.
I think he does, but I think he understands his role. Like, that he is on a television show.
I agree with that.
And so, like, you understand, like, because this is his career, right?
So you're agreeing with me from months ago when I said he's playing a character.
But hold on a second, but why can't he? Why shouldn't he?
But you're agreeing, though.
But I'm saying, no, not necessarily. But we mean it in two different ways.
Okay.
We mean it you mean it in a derogatory sense. I mean it in that you got to make your mark on these shows. If you're not a presence, what business do they have bringing you back? And so I think he understands that. So, man, live it up. Be a character. Like, be loud. You know what I mean? Is this...
No, I think we're kind of on the same page about it. I think going back to last week with the whole thing with Kyle, I think he's very aware of his quote storyline. If Kyle's out of the show, that's a big part of his camera time is him and Kyle.
I bet you he'd find a way.
To what?
To hold the camera time.
I mean, where there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
I think he has the will for it.
Yeah, I think he's a good competitor. I mean, he is. He's proven that this season. Last season, he didn't really prove it until the final.
Yeah. Last season, he just wasn't given the opportunity because
he was, and then he failed multiple times because
yeah.
they couldn't win eliminations.
Is that Redemption House as big a deal if not for Paulie?
What do you mean? I think it wouldn't have been as big of a sticking point if it wasn't the same team in there for like a month at a time.
So you think regardless the team...
Any one team that stayed in the Redemption House for that long and then got to compete in the final, that's where MTV screwed up.
I agree with that.
Because we're not the only two people that are upset about that.
Now, if it was a team that I really liked, like if I CT was in there, if CT got to, by the grace of God, miraculously keep hanging around with Veronica, I would have been way more pleased with it, but I still think it's a very flawed game.
Right.
It's a horrible twist because you're basically saying, oh, you're not good, but you keep barely scraping by and you might be around at the end even though these other teams came in. I will say, we had someone bring up, I think it was on the Patreon podcast, do you think it was fair that Hunter and Ashley got to go to the final even though they were the last team into the game? And
I think that was where they kind of messed up.
Last season had way too many twists.
I just couldn't do last season. I just couldn't do it.
I mean, we enjoyed it because we had, like, that was our first podcast was during that season. And we met some cool people during it. Shout out to Marie and Shane and Cam and Devin and, those people we interviewed. But at the same time, it was a very flawed direction in the show.
I don't think it would have been as big of a deal had it been a different team going in and out of the Redemption House each time. I
think if there was a limit, they're like, okay, you made it. Here's your chance to get back in the game. If you don't make it, you go home. Yeah. That's even different.
I think if they had done something like that, it would have been way better.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to talk about just the Redemption House over and over again, but we all agreed it wasn't a good way to do that.
No.
They've done it in a couple other seasons, but whatever. Then the next thing, I guess, we kind of... You got something to say?
No, I was just waiting for you to transition us in by singing Highway to Hell.
No. Well, I wasn't even going to get into that yet. I had one note in between that was Wes and Nani kind of come together to talk, just like where each other's at. Because they have a history. I think was it Rivals 3 they were partnered?
Mm-hmm.
And...
Because they were exes.
Nani and West, neither one have been on since that season, and other than like Champs versus or whatever. But again, they're not playing the same game, but they also are like, hey, we're vets. We haven't been here in a while. We need to stick together for the most part. Then we get into the daily, which they previewed this daily a lot in the trailers for this season because it's the weird, crazy truck.
And it looks scary and intimidating.
Yeah, it's really more than anything. It's like a
fun.
It's just like you're having to solve a puzzle while you might get motion sick and like you're being thrown around. It wasn't dangerous. Like the car looked dangerous, but it's very low to the ground. Like it wasn't going to flip or anything. It was
super safe.
I mean, yeah, obviously not as safe as some other things. And also in Namibia, you never know, I guess. I don't know what their safety standards are, but they do test everything. I know that. And usually with locals, they'll have them test it.
I didn't realize it was locals.
Yeah, because I know one season in Thailand, they had some like, either it was a guy or girl that was like from Thailand that like broke their leg doing one of the dailies, and they had to like revamp some stuff on the fly.
I thought somebody died.
No, they would have to shut down the thing. That'd be a big thing.
I gotta say, before it got started, it was good to see Hunter's head of hair blowing in the wind.
I didn't even notice that.
I did.
I didn't.
You seem to.
Yeah, because you look for it.
I got an eye for it.
I forgot that Hunter was even here.
This was a very minimal Hunter episode. Even
minimal Turbo, minimal Ninja. I forgot that she was on here.
To be fair, Hunter and Turbo were kind of the spotlight of last week, so it makes sense that they kind of took a backseat, especially with neither one of them sticking out in the daily. It's not a guy's elimination, so they're not gonna
go back and watch it.
Okay, I'm not gonna do
His
that.
His
hair. So we get into Highway to Hell. It's a puzzle. I forgot what those things are called, but they're little like slider puzzles, and like you have to move one.
That's what they called it. They called it a slider puzzle.
To move the thing over. One thing we did notice is before they start, there's a key in the top right. And the key is what the picture should look like. And from there, I guess once they start moving, it covers it up, though. But it's just a big skull. They had to make a big skull. Again, D was like, I noticed the teeth first.
Well, she was the first to go, and apparently she's pretty good at puzzles, so that came to her benefit.
She was middle of the road on the first puzzle of the show.
Can you imagine trying to play Mahjong on this?
That's not the same game.
Is that how you say it?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know if that's...
But like the pieces are like stacked.
Yeah, that's not what this was.
I'm just trying to create a visual here.
Okay.
Sometimes I say things and you just totally disregard it. You shoot it down, you ball it up like a piece of toilet paper and throw it down into the trash can or the toilet. And you flush it away. And I'm trying to create a visual to make a point. Can you imagine if they had puzzle pieces stacked on top of one another as this vehicle is swerving across the desert, out in the heat, they're scorching in the sun, and they've got these puzzle pieces stacked on top of each other, and the goal is you have to match them up. There's got to be some glue somewhere.
If they're glued together, you can't move them.
But the heat has to create some sort of like melting point, right?
It's got to be magnets if you're going with Mahjong.
Yeah.
That works even better.
It's at like a 45-degree angle.
Disregard the glue.
That's what I was like, this isn't going to work, because as soon as they turn, all the things are flying off.
Just forget I said anything.
Do you think they should play Jenga on it?
That would be even crazier. Yeah. Can you imagine?
It'd be over in 3 seconds.
What's the name of that game where you have like the little glass pebbles that you put in fish bowls, and you take a handful and you drop one in each little hole, and you go around until you run out, and then your opponent grabs a handful out of the little. It's like the little dips, and then there's one big bank. And then you go back and forth. It's a very common game.
Did you just create a new board game?
It's called Cooties.
No, I used to play it with my Filipino grandmother. That's how we passed the time.
The only thing I can think of is that game where like you've got these plastic fish going around in a circle, and you've got these limp little fish hooks.
It's a magnet.
and the fish are randomly popping up, opening their mouth, and you got to catch as many before the time. That's the only thing
What? I've never heard of that game.
I
That
know what
sounds
you're
like
talking
fun.
I think it's just going fishing
it's
or
not
something.
fun.
It's not fun.
Even as a little kid, it's not fun.
It's about as fun as Hungry Hungry Hippo.
No, that's more fun.
I liked that one.
Or Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
I never played that.
I-
really.
Rank
didn't
them.
like that
Rock'em
one very
Sock'em
much.
Robots, Cold Fishing, or Hungry Hungry Hippo.
Best to worst.
Best to worst.
Hungry hippos.
Rock'em Sock'em.
Fishing.
No.
Rock.
God, man, I think I'd put fishing number one.
The best?
I think I would.
You're out of your mind.
Because there's at least a little bit of a challenge. Because sometimes them fish would close their mouth up real fast. You just don't know.
Why don't you just go real fishing?
Did you ever have that Fisher?
I'd like to, but Zach won't take me.
Did you have that Fisher Price game where it was an alligator and you had to pull his teeth, and then if you pull the wrong one, he'll chomp down on you?
No, but you know what game I always wanted to play that I never got to play? Mousetrap.
Yeah, I never was allowed.
Never got to play it.
I never was allowed to have Mousetrap either. Like my parents are like, "Oh, it's too complicated, and you'll lose the pieces."
God, that's real discouraging. Can
Did
you
they
imagine?
think you weren't smart enough?
I just remember I would ask for it, and then like for some reason, like maybe my sister had it at one point, and she didn't do it well, and so they were like, "You can't have it either." And I've never to this day played it, and that is right up my alley because it's basically a Rube Goldberg machine, which is like a really complicated way to do a really simple task.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got to play it. We should buy Mousetrap. We're adults.
We should.
And we should watch Mouse Hunt.
And
I
do an
don't
Instagram
really-
Live as we do it.
I don't really know what Mousetrap is. I didn't hear
Oh, that
about
is a
that
movie.
when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I liked that movie.
with Nathan Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, D goes first. Again, we don't get to see times. I wish for the love of God they would show times on this season.
You should put a call in to somebody.
Okay. Who should I call? 1-800-MTV?
Mancala.
Just shoot Wes an email.
He probably could get me in touch with someone.
Mancala was the game.
Okay.
I have
Why did
never...
you take my phone to
Because
do
my phone's on 1% and it would die while I was looking.
that? So D goes, she completes it. Theo goes
He does not complete it.
0. I gave him a 0.
And then Turbo walked up to him and then hugged him and said, "I am very sad for you."
Yeah. Again, we had a little bit of turbo in this episode. Carmery goes, she gets it done. Wes goes, he gets it done. Georgia sucks, she doesn't get it done. They have 3 minutes, I think. Paulie goes, he finishes. Nani finishes. Ninja finishes. Maddie finishes. Hunter finishes. And then Davon, Turbo, and Kyle, none of those finish.
Well, just so you know, I think Maddie had the best time out of anybody.
Well, we don't know.
But like everybody's confessional about Maddie, they all said, Ninja even said, she's like, I blinked and she had already finished it. And then Kara said, I didn't even know that TJ had even blown the horn.
Well, let me
She finished it so fast.
Let me get this off before we talk about Maddie. I don't know if it's indicative of their culture or what happened, but all the British people failed to complete this. And I don't know why. Again, Theo, Georgia, Kyle. I guess that's all that's left now.
Yeah, that is all that's
Wow,
left.
they've dwindled down real fast.
I almost called you Joey.
That's not my name.
Jake, how did you feel when you saw that Theo did not even finish?
Oh man, I'm more concerned with how he felt.
Yeah, because I know you had a little bit of beef with him. I didn't know if you were excited, like, oh man, maybe that humbled him a little bit.
Oh no, that had to take a shot at his pride because it's like this guy lives for the tribunal. It's not even a matter of winning the money anymore. It's not a matter of being safe. It's
the power.
Can I stand at that podium?
Podium? That pony?
Can I stand at that podium and
Point at people?
This is an audio podcast. You just pointed in a circle, and they didn't know what you did.
and belittle somebody? Can I make them feel smaller than me?
Well, he's bigger than everyone. To
That's
be fair.
fine.
Not necessarily bigger, but taller.
Yeah.
But whereas I may not know how he felt not completing this challenge, I felt good that I wasn't going to have to watch Theo get a rise off of
Aroused.
this podium stand.
Gross.
No, a rise.
Aroused.
I bet he does get aroused over the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's drunk with power.
Yeah. So
Shout out to our friend Logan Rotten Bananas. He just interviewed Theo. I don't know when that's going to drop, but he did it
Still
today.
a big deal.
He interviewed him today.
it's a good get.
good one.
Our guy Logan, who we're going to try to play pickup basketball with,
Even though he
whenever
lives,
we
he
can
lives
make
in
it down to
California.
California, yeah.
Yeah, we again they get to announce. TJ announces who wins. Again, we don't have times, but D, Wes, and then Maddie. And so that couldn't have gone any better for Wes and D.
For Kyle.
Yeah, and Kyle. I mean, you kept Kara and Paulie out of the tribunal. You kept Theo out of the tribunal. Again, it was the only way that it could have went better for them is if maybe Hunter was in there instead of, because he was going to do whatever Wes wants. Although he might screw it up last minute.
Yeah.
You never know
Like
with
he
him.
did the last one. What I noticed was before the daily, Wes was saying how he was going to go after the Brits.
Yeah.
The remaining Brits.
Which is only 3.
And then after the daily, I guess it was after his little scuffle with Paulie, he said Kara is the number 1 on his chopping block. Unless she would agree to a deal and work something out with him.
Well, Wes's whole thing was he was trying to get Dee and Maddie to kind of approach this as, this is not just for this elimination. Like, this is to further yourself after today. Which you can't ever really trust. But, again, if anybody's good politically, it's been Wes.
Forever.
His thing with Nani was, she's back. She may be kind of average at, I think his words were everything else, but he's like, she's very good, like, politically. And so they get in there. They go to talk about who they're going to nominate.
Maddie says right off the bat that she's going to vote in Kara.
Which is, again, it makes sense.
She said it was not only because of Kyle, but Kara has called in her and Kyle.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Well, and she's the female face of the show. If you got the chance, try to take him out. I mean, it makes sense. And so she said Kara. Dee said Davon because Davon and Bear had obviously gone after Wes and Dee and vice versa. And so it made sense just not to piss anyone else off. And then Wes went with Georgia. He didn't pick Nani. He didn't pick because Kara's already been picked, but he went with Georgia because he was like, she might be the best runner out of all of them, which
is usually a lot of the final.
Dee and Maddie are like very strong, it seems, but I don't know how well they'll do like endurance wise, like long term endurance. Georgia's definitely built like a runner. And so those are the nominations. They decide they're not going to tell who voted for who, and they're not going to talk about things until it's in like the tribunal room. But between that, this is when Nani kind of approaches Kara.
Oh, man, I just missed something.
What's up?
Let's go back to the daily real quick.
Okay.
Just let me make this point because we have Kara again just...
Oh, I know what you're about to say.
I kind of changed my tune on this. All right, so we all have gotten annoyed at the Kara. It seems like every daily so far this season, there's been a, God, look at Paulie.
Every daily or just every day in general?
Every daily specifically.
Yeah.
Yes, but also...
Yeah.
But also...
Probably. Just, whether it's referencing his wiener or his whatever, his
body,
his nose ring, whatever. Can I just say, we should all be so lucky to have someone swoon over us the way she does over him.
Again, it goes back to a place that it's like, I need everyone to know how happy I am right now. But that's usually from an artificial place.
But do you think she legitimately swoons over him, though?
I think at this point...
I think she does.
I think at this point, yes.
So because this was before she found out that he had been cheating on her the entire time and lying to her face about it.
Yes.
And off with his mob family thing in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But really in Mexico with his other girlfriend.
I think she really has been kind of swept off her feet by him. I do think it's kind of like the annoying... I still 100% think it's the annoying, everyone needs to understand how how great this is and how over it I am with Kyle. Which, by the way, Davon in the scene we were about to talk about, was like, if you're over him, why do you let every little thing about him bother you?
I want to get to this.
Well, we're gonna get there. The one thing before we jump ahead is that it's literally like I've told you, I've seen, when I saw you make that note, I've seen like memes like going around on like Instagram and the Facebook pages and stuff, and it's like nobody, or it's like everybody, there's no quote. It's like the meme where nobody says anything and then someone says something that no one else wanted to hear, and it's like nobody, nothing, and then it's like, Kara, Polly's the hottest thing that's ever happened, and what, like, it's just like at this point it is gonna be weird if she doesn't do it, you know? Like, he wasn't doing anything. He was sitting in a chair on top of the car. They hadn't even started yet, if it was edited chronologically. And again, it's just weird.
It's just a little much.
Well, there's like the, all these like love languages, right? Like,
yep,
you're either like partial to the touch or like words of affirmation and stuff like that. And me being a words of affirmation guy, like, that's something I desire, right? And so like I get it. It's annoying. It's a little much because it's literally everything. It's not even like challenge oriented most times for her anymore. It's look at Polly. And so I get it. It's annoying. But at the same time,
it's got to come out of a place of hurt from past things, I think. Again, she's not been in great relationships, it seems, so far.
Yeah. I don't know, but to preface the whole scene that we're about to get into, when Nany and Wes are kind of discussing where they are at individually and together in the game, Nany comes out saying that she has zero ties to anyone, which...
Other than Hunter.
Yeah, but even then, I don't think that I think if it came down to it, she'd vote him in.
Oh, yeah. I think, like... Hunter's disposable. Like, she likes being around him, but
he's disposable to her.
She's here for herself.
So I honestly, I don't think that she does have any legitimate ties to anyone. If anything, Wes may be the closest thing to that.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
She knows that she's not at the top of his list.
Yeah, clearly.
So she's just kind of like a lone wolf, here for herself, on her own, by herself. And she's already a very outspoken, independent woman as it is. But the fact that she doesn't have anyone else in this game, Jenna has already gone home.
That's her best friend.
She doesn't have anyone else. And so I almost think that has made her a little bit more ballsy as of late.
Well, again, she is kind of in the same situation as Wes. She doesn't have anything to lose. Like, they haven't been here in a long time. Now, she hasn't won like Wes has, but like, she's got a job outside of the show. Like,
she's like an esthetician.
Yeah, she's taken like 5 years off. Once Jenna's gone, like, she doesn't have any ties. And I, for one, thought it was very refreshing to see the way that she like just called out Kara about the way she's acting. And like, Nany's in a unique position because Nany was on a bunch of seasons in a row with Kara.
She knows her personally.
And that's what she gets into, is she's like, this is not the same person anymore. Because she asked Kara, like, hey, if I don't do this, will you return the favor as like vets or whatever?
Yeah, and Kara was like, I don't know.
Yeah, and like her the main quote I got out of that whole exchange with Davon coming in and listening and all that was, she's like, she's not the same person anymore. She's like, Kara used to be the friendliest person in the world, whatever. She's like, Kara is the bully now.
You're talking about Nany, right?
Nany's saying that.
Her words, she literally said the words, Kara is the bully now.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot.
It sounds like we all caught different things she said, because I noticed her saying she doesn't even know who she is anymore.
Yeah, I did hear that, but the bully one stuck out to me the most.
The quote I got the most was, I hate to see the way that she's evolved, period. It's disgusting, period.
There's a lot of good quotes here, and I think they are all very, very
well. And what you have is
viable.
you have people like us, right, who are outside of the show. We're watching as fans, and you've got someone like Nany, who's been around Kara for years.
Yeah, years.
And has spent significant amounts of time with her, who's essentially kind of echoing what we've been saying.
Because if you're newer to our show or things like that, before Final Reckoning, we did an episode like, hey, these are our top 5 competitors and male, female. These are our favorite people, whatever. We did a rundown of all that stuff. I think Kara was all in our top 3, top 5 females in the show. We all liked her, whatever. That season, she changed, and it may be Kyle's fault because that was between the whole thing with Kyle, but it started in that season, and that's also the season Polly came around, and it's very interesting to see a veteran that, like you said, has known her for years, been around her, that basically just said most of the things that we've been thinking. Kara's whole persona for all these years has been, I'm the outcast, I'm the weird one, everyone bullies me, everyone whatever. And now
it's not like that.
But she still likes to be seen. She sees herself as that.
But she's not the weird, quirky one anymore.
No, she is the female face of the show, and she's not the outcast or whatever. And she still likes to imagine that she is the one that's always picked on, the one that always is mistreated. Because again, you can say whatever you want about the edits of the show. Look at her on Instagram Live, on her comments on Instagram, on her things on Twitter. Like, she's I don't know who's listening, very hypocritical when it comes to a lot of things. And I don't mind saying that, because if there wasn't proof to back that up, it's been something we've noticed, not just as a show, but like on like forums and, you know, Facebook groups and things like that. People are like, what is, like, she literally posted on Instagram this last week. She deleted her Twitter, you know. She posted on Instagram, oh, I don't have a Twitter and I don't care about Twitter and I don't worry about people. Like, I don't block anyone because I don't have a Twitter.
And then you had all these people coming out with these screenshots.
Yeah, and literally like 3 days before, she's like, I've blocked 900 people on Twitter. You want to make it 1,000? And it's like, well, which is it? Like, do you want to block everyone and just say F the world? Or do you want to play the I don't care?
Do you know who she reminds me of, if we're making a correlation into the sports world?
Go for it.
Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Like, one of the greats.
I'm with you.
One of the greats.
Oh, yeah.
But this guy, one thing he's done that we haven't any proof of that she has.
There
with the burner accounts.
No. There's like,
is there?
Yeah, there's like people that have like almost like nothing's going to be confirmed for sure. You know, like I don't think she's going to out herself like Durant did, but like there's too many like things that line up that like there these accounts that'll stick up for her, and they have like 3 followers, and Kara was like one of them, and it's like.
But you get the correlation I'm trying to make here.
Yeah, no,
there's no doubt she's great.
Yeah, Kevin Durant's one of the best players in the NBA, but he also is very self-conscious. He also can't take criticism in a public forum, and he had burner accounts on Twitter and stuff, and he would like be like, I can't believe you treat him this way. Like, yeah, like it's I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah,
because he's great. Like he's top 3 in the NBA. Like LeBron and Steph are like the only 2 that you could maybe put up there above him.
Maybe James Harden.
Yeah, James Harden. I said top 4 or worst.
Giannis maybe now.
Good. Top 5 or worst. Like
name another one.
I still think Durant's above Giannis. And I think Giannis is gonna win the MVP.
Boy,
this year.
He's pushing him though.
Yeah, he can't shoot though.
He doesn't have to.
No, he doesn't have to. But yeah, I think that's a really like spot on analogy if you follow the NBA world at all, because
go Google it. Just go Google Kevin Durant if you want to know, like, and burner accounts.
Yeah, it's a thing, and like she, like, I think a couple weeks ago, you know, when Leroy was still on the show, he thought he got a weird edit. Like they're saying, oh, I wasn't even in the room. Like they're making it look like I said this about Cam. First one in the comments, Carl's like, welcome to my world, Leroy. And like, it's like, okay, if it was only the show, that's one thing. But like when you have unedited videos every night when you're on Instagram Live and Twitter responses and whatever, like it's a different thing. Like your perception is not just a edited version of reality. Like people can make their own conclusions out of it. And Nani's straight up just calling her out about it. I think the last...
Without missing a beat or hesitating or anything, she's just ripping into her.
She said, I'm going to go hang out with your ex-boyfriend, your cornball. Not corn dog like Jake wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because corn dogs are great.
They are not.
Great. And so I think it was very refreshing because a lot of people are afraid to call out Kara, but it also was pretty spot on from someone who's been watching the show for a long time. I remember Kara's first season, Fresh Meat 2. Like, it's weird now. And people evolve, I get it. But, like, if you want to evolve into this persona where you're this bad, not in a bad way, but, like, you're this strong female
This
empowerment.
bad A girl.
Yeah, and then just own that. Don't play the victim the whole time and be hypocritical in the things you say. I think that's the main thing people have problems with. And so...
And then Davon was, like...
She was there for it. And
My comment on that was just Davon.
I like her reactions to things.
She's more entertaining to watch this season than she was last season.
Yeah.
Last season she just yelled too much.
Yeah, I didn't like her really last season. She is more enjoyable this season for sure. But we get into the tribunal.
Well, club night first of all.
No, club night's
Right.
after that.
Okay.
Tribunal first. And they bring George in, and they all agree, like, whatever we talk about in this room is not going to leave this room. And they're like, Georgia, if we don't say your name, will you, like, return the favor down the road? And she's like, oh, yeah, that's it? That's easy. Like,
She didn't even take a minute to think about it. She just said, okay, yeah.
They just agreed right away. She's out the door. Davon comes in. They basically propose the same thing.
She counters.
Yeah, she gave a counter argument. Okay, as long as I'm in with the four of you. Like, we're a 4-person alliance. And Wes was like, not happening. Get out of here. And, like, they went their ways. And then Kara comes in, and he brings up, hey, we'll not say your name, but you have to bring your crazy, lunatic, irrational, whatever he said, boyfriend over to our side, and he's got to agree to the same terms. And she basically agreed to it. And so... then is the night out. And so they go out, and it seems like they kind of split up in like 2 groups. Like,
well, everybody had tables.
Well, Wes walked in with 4 ladies on his arm. We didn't even talk about Wes's Angels, by the way. The 60s, 70s throwback thing they were doing, because he's like Charlie's Angels. But
Wes was super in his element tonight.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, it was just like a flashback to the old West that we love so much.
He walked in 4 deep with the ladies in his arms, because he already had Maddie and Dee, but then he had a Ninja and who was the 4th one?
Davon?
Nani.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go in. They're at a table. They're talking about things, and they basically cut to, at one point, Georgia and Davon and Kara are all at a table together.
And Georgia is dressed up like a Spice Girl, and it made me so happy.
She's dressed up like that a few times.
Yeah, but she looked like a straight up Posh Spice.
Well, they go in and they're talking, and the one thing I wrote was, like, they asked Kara, like, hey, are you doing this? She's like, oh, no, he didn't offer me anything. He wants to talk to Polly. Lie. Straight up lie.
And as soon as she got up and walked away, Davon was like, no. And Georgia was like, no.
Yeah, Georgia Davon knew right away, like, oh, she's lying. Like, she's
like even Georgia picked up on it immediately.
Yeah. And so Davon's like, hey, we don't need to make any sort of deal. And Georgia's like, okay, yeah, I agree. And so that's when I was like, I think Georgia just agrees with whatever is the most recent thing to be brought up to her. I think she's very nice.
I think she is super easily evoked, like, and persuaded.
We saw how fast she took Bear back.
Like,
after
immediately.
she caught him calling his girlfriend after he said he didn't have one, and then said, it's my cousin, that was my cousin, that was my cousin. And so she's quick to forgive, but she's also quick to just be like, oh, this is great information, let's do that. And
I did need to put in, although Kara was a little bit annoying this episode, she looked very good at this club thing.
I agree
She
with that.
I like her hair pulled up that way. Her makeup was really good. And I think the red choker thing it made her look more feminine.
They did have to blur out. She had a nip slip tonight.
Okay.
When she got up and walked away.
I didn't see that, but
You didn't have your glasses on.
But I mean, like, shoulder up is what I was talking about. It's when she was sitting at the table with Davon and Georgia. She just looked really classy and really nice and more feminine than she has looked in a while. I thought it was refreshing.
That's real sweet.
Also,
of you,
I
man.
really liked her hair like that. She should wear it like that more often.
It's too late. It's in the past.
It is too late.
We should get you guys to have a girls' night or something. Maybe when we talk to Polly, we can set that up.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
So, I think it's the next day. Wes slides a note over to Kara, and it's
Just at the table in front of other people.
Yeah, it said pool room, 5 to 10 minutes.
P.S. Bring this note.
But before that, it said like the guy who's in charge or something something very self-aggrandizing. Like Wes is very aware of what he's doing.
Oh, I think it was love the very best guy. P.S. Bring this note with you.
Yeah, I don't think it said love, but it said P.S. Bring this note. And then she slid it to Polly. They come upstairs, and I guess they kind of just talk about what's going on. And we did have a weird, which we talked about earlier because he said he saw Kara's tattoo. We had a weird moment with Polly and Kara.
I've been waiting to get to this.
Well, we missed it, but we can go back into it.
No, we're getting into this because I've been waiting on this all night. Kara comes in, like she just walks in and she lays down and she wants to talk to Polly.
After the tribunal.
Yes,
Yeah.
she wants to talk to Polly about the proposal that Wes gave her. And she said that she told Wes, she's like, let me talk to Polly about it. And so she goes to talk to him about it. And he cuts her off immediately. And she was trying to, say, hey, just let me say this. And he's like, no, check your tone. And she's like, no, I don't have a tone. And he's like, no, change your tone or I'm not listening. And she's like, I changed my tone. I'm just trying to tell you what he said. And Polly, it was so... I got not good feelings in my chest and I wanted to get up and intervene because it was so disrespectful the way that he talked over her when she was just trying to relay information to him. She did not have any kind of attitude or any kind of tone or any kind of anything. She was just relaying a message.
It was weird.
And the way that he spoke to her and over her and cut her off, that ticked me off. I'm not okay with that. And so let me just tie this in. Zachary, you kept saying how what they've been doing is overcompensating and saying, oh, this relationship is so great. I kind of feel like they're doing that because we saw a glimpse of, I don't know if he talks to her this way all the time, but this one instance was not okay. It does not matter what kind of setting or atmosphere or environment that they're in. You don't talk over someone or cut them off like that when they are trying to just tell you something or ask how you feel about it. You have to let that person actually get it out of their mouth. And so that just, oh my goodness, I was not okay with that.
It's funny you mentioned that because Jimmy actually went in on this specific thing.
Oh, did she? I haven't been on Twitter.
So the challenge Twitter account took that little clip.
Oh, really?
Some portion of that little clip. It's only 9 seconds long. And the caption to it is, when you and your significant other tried to build furniture together, like making a joke.
Yeah,
right?
making light of it.
And Jimmy took the same stance you did, Han. She said, this tweet ain't it, boo-boo. Don't promote this as healthy relationship goals. It's not okay for a man to try to control how a woman speaks. So maybe you and Jimmy need to have the girls' night out.
Jimmy's another one that's not afraid.
I think I would have a little bit more fun with Jimmy because
she's a Southern girl like yourself.
She'll call you out on your crap, and I will too.
State.
I won't miss a beat. I don't care if it hurts your feelings or not. I'm going to tell you when you're wrong.
You've never hurt my feelings, so maybe turn loose a little bit because I haven't felt that right.
I'm surprised I haven't hurt your feelings.
Yeah, again, that we did kind of skip over that because that was between the tribunal and the night out, but watching it was weird. It was like you caught a glimpse of something that we haven't seen yet. And again, we all know what this is predating the whole breakup and all that stuff. It was opposite of what everything they portray.
What they
publicly.
say.
Yeah, they were by themselves. They were them two alone in a room.
But there was a camera in
there.
There
was a
I don't
camera
know if
guy.
they just are so used to it that they forget.
I would think at some point you kind of do get in that mode where you just kind of phase them out. But I don't know. It was definitely a weird look for their relationship.
A very disrespectful
Yeah.
conversation. Incredibly disrespectful. And we can talk about Kara all day long and how what she is now is annoying, but I'm going to come to bat for her when it comes to this. She should, I want to say she should not let him do that. She tried not to. She tried to get him to shut his mouth so that she could finish what she was saying. And I could tell she was getting a little annoyed with it. And she finally said, fine, I changed my tone. But it is never okay for that to happen.
I wonder how long that actual conversation was, because we saw an edited down version. Like, that could have went on longer or whatever, because by the end, she was laying back on him. I love you, whatever. Like, it seemed like that was... I would hope that situation was longer than what we saw play out.
Right.
Because that is such a switch of going from one end to the other, that at least if it was a longer conversation, there's kind of ebbs and flows and you can kind of talk your way through things and maybe apologize or get on the same page and whatever. But it went from what you're talking about, kind of the uncomfortable side, to immediately everything's completely fine and we're, well, I don't know, it was just strange. But they bring the note to Wes. They talk. Wes is loving every minute of it. Basically, Polly... It's like, hey, if my girl wants this, I'm going to do what she wants. And so he agrees to join up with Wes and whatever to help each other get to the final. But Wes then talks to Dee and Maddie and is talking about things, and they're kind of deciding where they want to go. And Maddie had a pretty good line in this because she's talking about Kyle and, protecting Kyle and whatever. But she's like, at the end of the day, she said, Mama got to be selfish. Because she's in this game for herself, which is the smart way to view it because it's a single-person game at this point. And, again, she's a bartender in Nashville, not too far from us. And, again, $750,000, that's a lot of money. And
she said she could quit her job.
Second place is what, 200? And then third place is 50? Is that right?
Believe so.
It's $1 million total. Yes, even second place, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially in Tennessee. And so again, I think she's playing the right way to be selfish. However, we get into the killing floor, and we were a little bit behind, so we were DVR'd. We're fast forwarding, and we're like, oh, we're definitely not getting an elimination tonight.
Almost thought we weren't going to see who got voted in.
Yeah, we almost thought it was going to cut off before we saw. I thought they were going to start it and it was going to cut off before Wes or something. But the way it goes, Maddie votes in Georgia. And then we thought it was going to be unanimous, I think.
Yeah.
Then Dee says Davon. Mm-hmm. And then, so Maddie's already switched her vote. She picked Kara, first of all.
Yeah.
But she said Georgia, and then Wes picks Georgia. And so... Again, it's a cliffhanger. We know she can choose from Kara, Nani, Davon, and Ninja. All pretty good competitors, to be honest. Mm-hmm. This can be a good elimination, I think.
But Georgia's not going to know, really.
And we have no idea what this elimination is. It's like a chair, and then there's like rolls of tape up there, and I don't understand what it is. It's not anything we've seen before. It doesn't look like anything from a past season that I remember. I don't even know what it is. And that was Georgia's thing, is she doesn't know what the elimination's going to be. So that's the cliffhanger. And someone on our Instagram said they kind of spoiled it with the preview for next week, but I didn't see anything from what we saw. But we're not going to even talk about that. But did you see something that was spoiled?
I didn't.
I didn't either.
But
I wasn't looking for anything spoiled.
I was probably putting And I was finishing touch on my notes, so I actually had my head down during the preview.
Yeah, again, we try not to speculate too much on those because MTV does have a habit of, like, I think it was 2 seasons ago where there was someone in an elimination and it was a cliffhanger, and then they showed a preview for the next daily and they were front and center. And we're like, oh, well, they clearly made it out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of where we ended, which this is the first cliffhanger we've had this season. It's the first episode where we haven't had a daily and an elimination.
I am glad that we're this far in and this is the first one.
It took 3 weeks before we got anything like that in Final Reckoning.
Well, we have a couple of questions from our patrons.
Go for it, because we're wrapped this episode up.
First is from our guy Chico.
What's up?
He wants to know, why did Georgia react like that? Even saying she made a deal with the devil, how did Wes become the bad guy?
So that's a scene we haven't talked about. So
Yeah.
good question. This is from our Patreon Slack group in the Bloodlines level, and that's a good question because we didn't talk about that. Again, with Georgia, I think she has a lot of recency bias, and it's like whatever someone like presents facts or quote facts to her, she's just like, oh yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, Wes had not really done. He let me rephrase that. He has specifically tried to take out her whole alliance. So maybe that's her point in that.
Well, Nina, another member of the Bloodlines crew, she actually responded to Chico's question in the Slack group and said she's mad because Bear is gone and she feels that it's Wes who was behind him leaving, which
Yeah,
he is.
yeah, which they
Yeah.
didn't really hit. Like they never showed Georgia tonight saying this. I'm not making a deal with him because he sent Bear home, or whatever. But I think that's got to be her motivation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my take on it.
And the only other question we have tonight is from Connor. He says, was it smart for Dee and Maddie to let Wes run the tribunal and dictate the vote, or does it just make them look weak?
Well, I would counter that and say they started off the tribunal saying, you're not dictating this. We're going to decide what happens because there's 2 of us and there's only 1 of you. Like, I mean, I really don't feel like he dictated the tribunal. They voted in who they wanted.
Right.
They actually had like...
He let them choose first.
Yeah, and like they said, you're not going to tell us we're newbies, we're whatever. And he kind of took a back seat on that. So I don't mean to just disagree with Connor, but I feel like they picked who they wanted.
Well, I think a couple of things. Like, I think Wes felt comfortable stepping back because he knew they kind of had the same targets that he did.
And there's only X amount of players left.
Yeah.
So
I think if it were any other girls in there, he may not have sat back and let them do. But he knows Dee, and he knows that Maddie's really strong and independent
well, and
too.
she's been aligned with Kyle, who's been close with Wes. Like he didn't have anything to worry about with these two.
It was just the fact that these two are very level-headed. They're thinking ahead of them, like the current state, ahead of the game, looking at the final, at the future. And I think that's why Maddie changed her vote to Georgia, because Wes explained to them, he's like, I'm voting in Georgia because she's a good runner, and in the final there's a lot of running, and you don't want to go up against someone that's good at that.
Well, and like I think I said earlier, like Dee and Maddie are very strong, but we don't know how good they are at endurance and long distance running, things like that. So I think it's an interesting point, but it almost feels like there was no need to argue because they were all going to end up on the same page anyway. So like if they wanted to take the lead, let them, because you're all
doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're it's going to end up the way kind of Wes wanted it anyway. And so that's kind of my spin on that. I mean, did you have anything specifically different?
No, I kind of had my take on it. You know, just mentioning it. Like, I think Wes felt comfortable stepping back.
Yeah.
Because he knew they were all on the same page. And plus, if you're the girls, man, like, if you're going to follow anybody's lead, why not the guy who's been around the block a few times?
Yeah,
More than a few.
You know, this is pure speculation at this point. We don't know who's in the elimination against Georgia even next week. But if Georgia loses, like, the ascension and then demise of the British alliance has got to be one of the quickest rises and falls like we've ever seen, because they were running this game early on. Mm-hmm. Like they had the numbers, they had the strongest alliance. They were like not backing down. They weren't going to vote for each other,
and now they're done for.
Well, and then the veterans like realized, oh, they're coming in hot. Like we got to stick together and take them out, and they're down to 2. And like that thing was deep like 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And so, like, if Georgia's gone and Theo is the only one left, because Kyle's not part of that alliance.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy how, like, surgically dismembered they were.
It worked.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, it worked.
And so, I'm interested to see next week. I wasn't mad that we didn't get the elimination, but I do like having the eliminations every week.
Yeah.
I feel like they've done enough goodwill towards us this season that we can give them this one.
It's okay. We'll let this one slide.
Because every once in a while they would do this on old seasons where they would start off with an elimination, then you get into daily, then you get another elimination, so you'll get 2 in 1 week.
I hope we get 2 in 1 week.
I hope that's kind of what's going to happen. I hope they're not just prolonging this to now where the elimination is the top of every episode.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So we'll see how it is going forward. This season is already going to be way longer than we thought initially, which is good because it is a good season.
We thought it would have already been done.
I think we thought
now,
there was going to be like
least almost close.
13 episodes, and we're on
11, 10,
12.
10.
I think 30 was the premiere.
You got me. I'm stumped. I
think 29 was basic training and 30 was a premiere.
Well, this.
Is it episode 10?
This is 10.
Okay. I don't remember. But it's been, like, initially we thought it was only going to be 13 total. And it looks like it's going to be at least 16 or so.
I'm okay with that.
Because they're alternating guys and girls. They're not eliminating 2 people every week.
Yeah.
So, again, before we get into the superlatives, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/smashingheadspodcast, because we do like to read the questions from you guys as we're going through it. So let's get into the superlatives for the week. Who smashed heads?
Ooh, let me go. I got to get these
it.
off. Nani smashed Kara's head when she called her out in front of Polly about Polly.
I agree with that.
And Davon.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not one to try to get cute, so I think it's got to be Wes this week. He was in his element.
I think it's Nani or Wes, and there's no one else this episode.
Yep.
Like
Who do you think it?
It's Nani or Wes, and there's no one else. Did you just black out for a minute?
No, I didn't know which name you said, because I think Maddie could be up for that too.
I would have said Maddie was the only other option.
I do think she has. This was her first time. Was it the first time in the
I believe so.
tribunal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like as a solo, she and Kyle had made it before.
That's right. But Maddie would be like an honorable mention to me. But I think this is Nani and Wes's episode.
That's okay.
And they ran things in 2 completely different ways. But I think those are the right choices. So who got their head smashed?
Georgia smashed her own head when she agreed immediately to Wes's deal, and then the next day went up to him and said, I feel like I made a deal with the devil. You, the devil.
And he was like, what?
And she's like, my stomach has been knots. I'm just sick over this, and I want out. You should have just said, I want to take time to think about it. You don't agree to a deal and then back out.
Or you could do what Bear does and just lie about everything.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Theo. He didn't make the tribunal, so
he didn't even finish the daily.
Oh yeah, he didn't. None of the British ones did. Mine's Kara. I mean, because she got someone who has status behind her in Nani. Like, she's been around. Yeah. This isn't some, like, rookie who's just watched the show. This is someone who's like, oh, I've been here since... Nani came in, like, what, 2012? Like, that's the Real World season she was in.
Oh, man, it was longer than that, wasn't it?
Was it? Look it up.
Let me see.
No, 20... Yeah, it was longer than that. I think you're right. Battle of the Seasons was, like, 2012. Maybe it's 2009, 2010, something like... I don't know. But regardless, this is someone who's been around for years and just basically was like... You are not who you think you are. You're not who you were in the past. It carried weight, and so again, maybe it's a coincidence. Kara deleted her Twitter this week, but maybe it's not.
I feel like it's not.
Yeah. It's Real World Las Vegas 2. Like, it's the second Real World Las Vegas.
Yeah, because Alton,
Trishelle.
And Trishelle.
Those two
with
were
Nani
on,
and Dustin.
They were on the first Vegas, and then Dustin and Nani were on the
I think
second
it was
Vegas.
2011.
Okay, so I said
That's
12.
close.
Yeah. I think Battle of the Seasons may have been their first one. I don't remember. But, again, Kari came, 2009? That was Fresh Meat 2. So, a little bit longer, but Nani's been
Not by
here.
much.
No, Nani's been around. And so, again, I think Kari is the one who got her head smashed for sure. That's my take on it. Who wants to get into their high school album of the week?
I didn't get a chance to write down an actual album, and my phone died, so I couldn't look one up. So I'm just gonna recommend a group, Blackpink. I've been listening to a lot of them lately.
Korean K-pop band.
They're so good. Oh my gosh, I just it's like an addiction. I can't get enough.
They're kind of fun, yeah. You definitely were not in high school during that.
No, because they only have one album out right
Yeah.
now.
You want me to go?
Yes.
So this is going to be one that probably no one that listens to this will want to listen to, but I've talked about the band Hot Cross before, but I'm going with a band called Seisha, and they had an album called A Retrospective, which was just like all of the music they did together. They went on to be a lot of the members to be in Hot Cross. If you've heard the term Screamo, it's not what you think it is, and this was one of the bands that originated that. And it is not at all what you're going to expect from that title, but it's from 1997, but I was listening to it in high school, and I loved it.
You always referred to it as emo core, right? Is that?
I know you're making a joke, but yeah, I'm not even getting into that. But Seisha, it's Saetia. You're going to hate it. What's yours?
I'm going to cheat for once.
Okay.
Because these two albums both were released. One immediately after I graduated. Mm-hmm. The other, I think, was like my sophomore year in high school. Mm-hmm. But there were two stretches of Under Oath albums that were just off the charts, and that's Define the Great Line and Lost in the Sound of Separation. It's when they were getting more of an alternative feel to them.
You should have picked
They're Only Chasing Safety.
the one before that.
Cries of the Past.
No, not that old.
Oh, man, what is that one?
When the Sun Sleeps and all that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one. But these two albums in particular is like that perfect mix of hardcore and alternative kind of weirdness.
I really like those.
Super good. I mean, I've been big. You introduced me to their first two releases, which they printed like.
They tried to be like a black metal band back then.
Yeah, it's real weird.
Yeah.
And of course, They're Only Chasing Safety was like when they hit the map.
What is the name of this album?
What are you looking at? What are you doing?
I'm trying to find the album.
The
that
one
you guys
before.
can't think the name of.
Changing of Times. The Changing of Times. That's what it's called.
I knew it was Change Something. I almost said Change in Motion.
Yeah. I mean, again, we did used to listen to that band a lot. I kind of stopped after high school because They're Only Chasing Safety. I listened to it a lot. Kind of burned me out on them, to be honest. After a while.
Did?
No, just in general. Like that, they became the band that. Oh, I listen to heavy music. I listen to Under Oath, and it's like, well, it's basically Taking Back Sunday with a lot of screaming at this point.
Yeah. But that was the album too. Like you go back and you listen to Spencer's vocals, who's like the heavy vocals in this band. Like on that album, They're Only Chasing Safety. It's like
That's his first album.
Yeah, it's like the same sound, and it's very just like scratchy, and like he evolved so much those next two albums, and just that alone,
I just got burned down on him. Like I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah,
it's just what it was. You
should go back and listen to those two albums.
I have, to be honest. But I liked The Changing of Times the best because I like Dallas, the original vocalist.
Shout out to Maylene.
Yeah, Maylene and the Sons of Disaster is a southern core band. By the way, I'm going to give a quick shout out. We're just going to do all our patrons real quick because we've got enough to where, I mean, it's a low enough count. We're going to hit everybody real quick. So I'm not going to do last names. Keri G, Brian M, Dylan G, Robyn, JD. Most of these are all on our Bloodlines crew. Chico, Tori C, Crystal, Baker R, Logan, shout out Rotten Bananas Podcast if you need another challenge one. Jennifer Ayers, Shana C. Oh, I said somebody's last name, my bad. Shana C, Lisa, Connor R, Cassandra D, Paul S. That's Statman Paul if you don't know any better. Stat Checker Paul, as he is in our Slack group.
Yeah.
If I ever need anything,
it's Paul S. The S stands for stat.
Not true, but I love. He emailed us today, and I haven't read it all. Sorry, Paul, but I love that he's just in our group now. And he said he loves the Slack. Like that was the number one thing in the email I read because I read the preview.
Yeah.
But I can just tag him. I'm like, I think it was this, and I was like, Paul, what? And he just knows, and it's awesome.
I saw you do it today.
Yeah, and I did do it. So Paul S, Nicole B, Rebecca E, Keri S, Scott M, Brandi HW, Shaun A, Mikey G. Shout out to Mikey from Memphis.
That's right.
Mikey.
Right down the road from us.
Neil D. Shout out to Neil, North Carolina. Invited us over for Italian food.
Oh, Italian food because we can bring our dogs.
Yeah. Ashley C. Not my sister. No one that we know personally supports the Patreon. Saralyn F. Holly G.
God, they don't do
No,
they?
it's all people that just know us from the show. Holly G. It's spelled very weird, but if it's not Holly, I'm very sorry. It's HOLEIGH.
Holly.
Yeah, I've just never seen it spelled like that. No. Nina B.
Neens.
Yeah. And Tess. Again, you guys are awesome. We started dropping the Patreon exclusive podcast, patreon.com/smashingheadspodcast. We also... we ran a poll to see what version of the stickers you wanted. That's concluded. I know what you guys want. I got to order those so we can get them mailed out to everyone in our free agents and bloodlines crew. And again, we're going to be trying to post more things from there. Jake and I talked tonight about a strategy of how to get more content up on Patreon exclusively. Still will be ad free when we do interviews with Frank, with Polly, with whoever. They'll be up on Patreon first, 24 hours in advance. So again, if you're not a patron, check that out. Everything will stay ad free no matter what it is. And again, if you're in our Bloodlines crew, we try to read your stuff on the show.
I'm going to take us out on this question. We got one more from Connor, which
Okay.
I think is the most prevalent. Rapid fire here.
All right, let's go.
Who do we think George is calling out?
Nani. It's a great rapid fire.
It took me a minute to realize what you were even asking. I was absolutely expecting Nani.
Because we watched the show a lot, they very clearly highlighted Nani this episode. And also, I would say Nani's probably the closest build-wise to Georgia.
I wasn't even thinking because they were highlighting Nani. I was thinking more along the lines of because Georgia hasn't seen much of what Nani can do. She's seen what Davon can do because Davon has been in a couple eliminations so far.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to pick, and she's sure as heck not going to pick Ninja Natalie.
I think she could pick. I think it's Nani or Kara.
Yeah, and I don't think she's going to pick Kara.
It doesn't look like it's a strength thing. It's a chair and some tape, and who knows? Like,
I don't know.
It could be her. She could go ninja. I don't know. I think it's Nani personally. We don't know. We're 100% spoiler free, so we don't know.
I think it's Nani just because Georgia doesn't know Nani, and she hasn't seen Nani do much yet.
And here's my only caveat with that is if she's still so bummed out about Bear that she's like, I'm swinging for the fences. Let's go with Kara or whoever. But
she literally said she has nothing to lose.
She might go with that, right? I would love it if she did that because, go big or go home. And at this point, she's still devastated about Bear.
Yeah.
So.
Was that the last question?
Kara. Yes.
That's who you think?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it may be. We'll find out next week.
We didn't do our movies.
Oh, we didn't. Crap.
Oh, man.
Mine is Nightcrawler because I love Jake Gyllenhaal, but that's a great suspenseful movie. Keeps you on the edge of your seat. I think Bill Paxton's in it, too. I think.
I don't know.
My phone's dead. I can't check it. Statman Paul, if you're still listening.
He doesn't check movies. But I did. The movie's 2014. I had a couple, so you can go next.
The best X-Men movie, X-Men Days of Future Past.
Great. I didn't pick that one. I don't think that's not the best.
22 Jump Street.
That's not the best one.
That is the best one.
Logan is the best one.
I'm talking X-Men.
Specifically
Logan is
X-Men.
absolutely the best
Zachary.
one, but X-Men.
Yours is 22 Jump Street.
No, it's not.
What is it?
2012.
That was my third. 2012 did not come out in 2014. 22 Jump Street was my third. Godzilla was going to be my second. If anyone said my first
forgot
one,
Godzilla came out.
I like those monster movies. Kong Skull Island. Whenever we get to that,
Was amazing.
great. But Godzilla was good. Guardians of the Galaxy 1. It's not as good.
I didn't even see that one.
It's not.
listed.
It's not as good as 2 to me, but it set up that universe, and I really did like that movie a whole lot.
Really good.
So
Really
that's
good.
my pick. I figured someone would go with X-Men,
Yep.
but I still would have that fourth on the list to me
Yeah.
personally. You guys want to get out of here?
Yeah, I was super sleepy.
We suck at rapid firing. Have a good night, everyone.